Hi, general psychology students. So this video is to be watched after the first video that I posted, part 1 of chapter 4, and then you watch the Nova video on dreaming, and then you'll watch this video. Okay, so we're going to go through the sleep stages in this video. Let me share the slides of where we are for chapter 4, and you know where to find these already. So in the sleep stages, we're going to go from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4 to stage 3 to stage 2 to stage 1, then REM sleep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1 REM. And those, that 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1 REM, that's called a sleep cycle. And that sleep cycle takes on average most people about 90 minutes to go through that sleep cycle. So let's go through each of the stages. So in stage 1, this is where there's a transition between being awake and being asleep. You're sort of aware of what's going on around you. Your heart rate slows down, your breathing slows down, your muscle tension, your muscles become more relaxed, your core body temperature lowers a little bit. Then in stage 2, you're going to be in deep relaxation. But you can have these rapid bursts of high frequency brain waves. We call those sleep spindles. So the sleep spindles happen in stage 2 sleep. Then stage 3, it's even deeper sleep, the even slower brain waves. And then stage 4 is the deepest level of sleep with very slow, regular brain waves. It's really difficult to wake someone up when they're in this kind of sleep. And then we've got now remember, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then REM sleep. REM sleep stands for rapid eye movement. And when you look at the brain of someone who is in REM sleep, they look as though they're awake. Their brains are going as though they're awake. This is where dreams happen. So you're going to have increased and irregular heart rate, increased blood pressure, increased breathing rate. This is where men will get erections. Usually there's dreaming that happens in REM sleep, but your body will look like you're asleep, but your brain looks like you're awake. Now, if you don't get enough REM sleep, if you're deprived of REM sleep, you can have real problems. People will start hallucinating. They'll get really sick. It's like you have to get REM sleep. So what ends up happening, they did some experiments where they'd let someone sleep 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, then they wake them up. Let them sleep 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, then they wake them up. And if you do that all night long with the person, the next day they're a mess. They look like they haven't slept at all. And if you do it for any period of time, then again, the hallucinations start. It becomes really, really dire on their health. What happens naturally is that if we pull an all-nighter and we don't sleep one night, the next time that we go to sleep, we'll spend more time in our REM sleep. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, REM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, REM. So REM, it's like our body knows that it needs REM sleep. It's really, really important. And so if we haven't gotten enough sleep the night before, then the next night we'll spend more time in REM sleep, what we call the rebound effect. So this graph just shows you how sleep works. So we're going to go from stage 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, then back up 3, 2, 1, and then up into REM, and then back up all throughout the night. You can see the more we sleep, we'll stop going down into stage 3 and 4 as much, and we'll sleep more lighter sleep, still with REM in there though. Okay. Now, dreams. What is going on with dreams? Well, Freud thought that dreaming was unconscious wish fulfillment, and that dreams represented unconscious wishes, and that they hold symbolic meaning. So if you dreamt you were falling, well, then the manifest content, what you actually thought you were dreaming about, was falling. So the manifest content is exactly what you actually dreamt of. But the latent content is what it meant. So he believed often that if you were falling, that was a need for sexual, that you were repressing sexual needs. And so latent content was like the disguised meaning of the dreams, what you really want, where the manifest content is what you actually saw or felt, like falling. Lucid dreams are maintaining some wakefulness during dreaming and being able to control some of the dream's content. Some people can do that. A lot of researchers today disagree with Freud. They do not believe that there is manifest and latent content to dreams. I mean, there is manifest content, that's what you remember, but that the latent content doesn't exist. And what they believe is it's just sort of random firing of your brain, and that somehow the firing of the brain helps you to integrate material, remember it better, that the dreaming is very necessary. But they disagree with Freud, saying that this is where we can find out a lot of what's going on in our unconscious or subconscious. There are many people who have sleep disturbances, for example, insomnia. If you have difficulty falling asleep, insomnia can also come if you have difficulty staying asleep. And it's really common. About a quarter of Americans suffer from insomnia at any time. So it's really a problem. Sleep apnea is also a real problem. It's sometimes your throat will make it so that you're not regularly getting air down the air pipe while you're sleeping. And so it can cause snoring. It can cause, it'll sound like you're asleep, and then all of a sudden the person will go like that. It's like all of a sudden their body isn't getting enough oxygen, and then it moves itself to breathe in. There's all kinds of negative effects that can happen with sleep apnea. But now they have these great sleep apnea fixes, these little sleep masks. Some go just under the nose, some are whole masks that go over your face, but they're great for helping people not have a problem of sleep apnea. I know a couple friends of mine that once they got tested for sleep apnea and found out that they had it, and they started wearing these to bed, oh my goodness, they were so much more alert. They weren't tired anymore. They found it much easier to stay on a diet. They lost weight. They exercised more. They just felt so much more healthy. So it's great. Another sleep disorder is called REM sleep disorder, where rather than having paralysis during the REM phase of sleep, you actually move and walk around. Of course, it can be really dangerous. There's sleepwalking, which is pretty common in children that are between 6 and 12 years old. For whatever reason, more common in boys than girls. Usually people just grow out of it, so it's not something that you need to worry about. It's not dangerous unless the person walks out of the house or walks into an area where there could be some danger. So, if you have a child that sleepwalks, you really need to somehow make sure that they can't open the front door and go walking outside. And then sleep eating, oftentimes linked to some sleep medication, to meds that you take. Other sleep disturbances, night terrors. These are extreme nightmares that occur during non-REM sleep. Common in kids that are between 3 and 8 years old. They don't know the cause. My son had these as a child, and it is different than having a nightmare. I mean, he would just scream, terrified. His whole body would go into a little sweat, his little body. And, you'd run into him and he wouldn't even know that I was there. And like we would turn on all the lights to try to wake him up, and he would be very difficult to wake up. So whatever he was seeing, whatever he was experiencing was absolutely terrifying to him. And it would take a while before we could rouse him out of it. But then once we did, then he'd quickly go back to sleep and all would be well. Narcolepsy is uncontrollable sleeping that occurs while the person is actually awake. And of course, this is going to cause real problems if you're trying to drive or, a whole bunch of different problems. Imagine working and all of a sudden you keep falling asleep. So there's most people who are who have narcolepsy will go on some drugs that will keep them awake and make it so that they don't have the narcolepsy problem. All right, that is it for covering the sleep and sleep disturbances. In the next video, I'm going to start talking about drugs. Okay. If you have any questions, please email me at maryd@cameron.edu.